Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sexually Scaled Project podcast. I am, as always, your host, Hannah Wolfen. And in this episode, we're talking to my first man. I know, it's a miracle. I never thought I would find one to actually talk to me, but I found one, and I'm holding on to him. When we are covering being a gay boy in a small town, we're also talking about girls. We're talking about Grindr, hookups, and being very happy out. Enjoy.
So I'm 26 years old. I identify as a gay. I'm born a man. I'm still a man. And I am originally from a very small town in Italy.
When did you move to Berlin?
Almost 1.5 years. I came here for to finish my studies and work.
In your little town in Südtirol, how comfortable were you being a gay cis male, a Gale? I'm just renaming that.
Oh gosh, I'm actually thinking. I don't think I still do feel comfortable there.
Right.
Also something that we'll come to later. I've only very recently come out to my parents at home. So even there, it's something that I have to get used to. I'm not publicly outed in the village. Well, the thing is, it's still a very conservative kind of climate and everything. And the only thing we've known about gays, basically, was there's one openly gay man in the village who... there's a saying in German he ticks all the boxes. So he owns a bar, he regularly dresses up as Elvis and sings like the worst Schlager in the bar, which is obviously great for him that he feels comfortable doing it. But I would say that for someone like me growing up there and not being sure about my sexuality or anything, it's rather terrifying, because then this is the only picture I had, and obviously I didn't want to do that. And
he sounds like the only gay in the village.
Yeah, oh yeah, he is. And you didn't. Yeah, it's scary, because of course you hear people talking about him, and not necessarily the nicest things. Like, he was still part of the community and everything, and his friend is just like, I didn't want to dress up and sing in front of people, and so that was kind of like, I think, the first picture we had I had of gay people.
Gay men, yeah.
So yeah, that. And additionally, obviously, whenever in a village someone talks about gay peoples and using the word gay as an insult regularly. Yeah.
Towards him.
No, not towards him, but in general, like when you're with friends and someone does something stupid you see something stupid and you're like, oh, that's okay. Like, right. In the German, like it's more negative in German. It's schwul, it's so schwul, and so on. In German, it's very often also like not an insult. It does not actually have anything to do with gay. It's just a synonym for bad. I think in German, at least how I grew up, the German term for gay is not necessarily related to gay at all, or like to sexuality. It's more like it's actually just like, it's just literally like when you have like to do homework as a kid.
Really?
And it's like an annoying exercise, like one that you just don't want to
gay?
do. And that's gay then.
Okay, that's a very different use of the word.
Yeah. But it's...
When you were young, I can imagine you didn't really want to come out like as a teenager, especially with the example that you had in the village. Did you date a lot of girls in high school and stuff like that?
Actually, I didn't... Like, I wasn't even, like, thinking myself that I was gay. In the sense, like, I was like more in my head, no, this can't be happening. And so it took a year into uni when I left until I finally admitted it to myself. So I was 21 at that point. And that's when I started to actually also consider myself as being gay. Or at least to be, in that sense, honest to myself and say, yes, of course. Like, because before, it was always, I didn't want to be. It couldn't be. I can't be. And there's this, I remember there was this one part in those kind of these teenage books that do kind of like the sexual education. That's how I got my sexual education from books. Actually, quite good books. Like it's not like, actually I think my parents did a good job there. It's the thing is, there was always one part in these books that said that most people, or a lot of people, have at least some gay thoughts during their teenage years, but they will pass.
So it's like a temporary thing.
Yes. Yes. And so I was like very long, I was just hoping it would pass.
You said something earlier about your sister when I asked about teenage years and then the peer pressure of dating. Like most of the women I interview, when they grow up and they're like in their teens, they're peer pressured into having a boyfriend. And did you see that? And you said something about your sister.
Yes, I definitely saw something. One thing that I'm not too sure about, whether she was pressuring herself because everyone was doing it, or whether actually anyone from outside was talking to her that she should. I just remember her saying something when she was like 12 to 14. I think that was the window. Well, she said that much later, but she said during that time, because everyone around her was having boyfriends. Well, she specifically talked about boyfriends, not about having sex. But she said that, like, she would have said yes, no matter who would have asked her. Right. In that time. Right. So, like, if anyone would have, like, walked up to her and asked her if she wanted to be his girlfriend, she would have said yes.
Because she thought that was supposed to happen.
Yes.
So then... I mean, obviously I'm not interviewing your sister, but then from your perspective, when you were 12 to 14, how did you perceive the pressure on the boys? Like, were you pressured to have a girlfriend then?
Actually, I would say no. There were several reasons for that. First of all, I was with a group of friends that were all quite what's the saying in English, this island of misfit toys. We're all a little bit awkward, weird,
like the nerds and the outcasts.
Yes.
Something.
And so
okay, so then was your sister in a popular group?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, okay, so then maybe that is different.
Yes, maybe. Like that, I remember, even though it wasn't a lot, like sometimes relatives would ask, and do you have a girlfriend now? And so, yeah. I don't know. I think people did not necessarily push me that much because I was the actual nerd. I was the nerd, and like I kept myself telling that because I was like already early on I wanted to get into uni. I liked school. I liked studying and learning, and I always told myself I should concentrate on that, and I want to concentrate on that. And since I wasn't interested in girls, and I didn't allow myself to be interested in boys, so there was
not. So then the other thing would be studying.
Yes.
So it was a nice. You enjoyed it, obviously.
Yes, I enjoyed it. But it was
also kind of an easy way out for you.
Yes.
That's interesting. Since you kind of like went into the whole studying thing mode. When did you lose your virginity? Was it with a boy or a girl?
With a boy. After I was 21. It was actually also my first kiss.
Oh.
And the other guy was, well, like, so I had like, I still count this as my first one, although we didn't like have any penetration or something, mostly because he fell asleep.
Oh my god.
So I remember, like, because that was the same, it was the same, like, I kissed him, and then kind of we went towards the bed, and then he fell asleep, and I remember the first time being kissed, I was like, oh, and this is why people are so crazy about.
Was the kiss not good?
No, the kiss was good. The kiss was very good. This is weird. This is.
And you had never kissed someone before?
Nope.
Besides your parents, like on the cheek or
Sure,
something?
yes. But it was my first kiss, and I was like, okay. And this is supposed to feel that good?
Was there tongue?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay.
No, the kiss was fine even later, like, considering it's just like, I think it's more of a thing. I compare it more to the taste of beer. I don't know anyone who like really liked the first taste of beer, and then they grow to like it.
Right.
And so I think I had the similar journey with kissing. Like, I remember there being 1 or 2 times where I was really stressed about never having kissed someone or never having had a girlfriend.
A girlfriend?
Yeah, because I thought, yeah, well, it's the right thing to do. Because
right.
It was before my whole, okay, I'm gay, admitting it to myself. And I assumed that if there had been a girl who would have then dealt with my freakouts, because there were, I think, 2 instances where girls have expressed their interest, where I was initially, okay, let's do this now, and then I freaked out and called everything off.
Mm-hmm. But have you ever had sex with a girl?
No.
Never. You're a gold star like me.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this was in college, right? University?
Yes, this was 2021.
Right.
Like, I remember I freaked out so much in the beginning. I had to go through therapy for quite some time.
I thought like you would throw that door open and visit every dark room in the town. But
no.
Okay.
I was
so
still
it was actually
so scared. And it, like, I mean, in the end,
why though? Is that because of where you come from? Or was this some internal thought? That it was wrong or something was wrong? Or
I think it was more that. And then I had to kind of learn that it's not wrong anymore.
But don't you think that has a lot to do with your parents as well?
Oh, sure. And it's I mean, there's so many things. Like, I mean, that this is not the only thing that definitely had a major impression in my psyche and my mental well-being. It was just another thing I could, okay, it sounds a bit harsh, but torture myself with and say that I did something wrong and this is not okay and so on. And then basically the first time, I remember the first night I was thinking, well, but maybe why not, like, why is it a bad thing, or why should it, and why should I? And then I got in a massive panic attack. Mm-hmm. And that's why I decided to go into therapy.
Very good.
And I think the therapist that I had there, he was actually gay himself, so he could relate some things, and he tried to help me there. And actually, like, within, I think, half a year, I came out to some of my friends, and within a year, I was out to everyone in the city where I was studying.
Okay, so you were like 23?
22, I'd say. Like, it was the year 2000. By the end of 2013, I was out.
Okay, so it took you about 4 years to come out to your parents after you felt comfortable.
Yes.
Why do you think it took you so long to come out to your parents?
One of the major issues that So the thing with my parents usually is that either something goes really well or really wrong.
Mm-hmm. There's like no middle way.
No, they don't do middle ways. Like either it's World War III or it's okay. And one thing that I was afraid of, because I was still a student and because I was studying in Switzerland, and I couldn't, there was no way I could have afforded continuing my studies. So that was definitely always an excuse to delay it and delay it and delay it.
You were afraid that you would be reprimanded for coming out by not having your parents pay your tuition.
Yes.
And put you through school.
Yes. Like that was definitely a fear there, and I definitely didn't want to risk that. That was number one. And then I was like, I mean, the thing is, there are a lot of ups and downs with my parents, and there were times that I was like thinking, why should I tell them? I don't have a close relationship to them. They don't seem particularly interested in my life sometimes.
Okay, well then it makes sense that you waited.
Why should I? Yeah, I don't have to tell everyone on the street, and yes, it's a bit of a stretch to compare them to like anyone from the streets, but sometimes it felt a little bit like that.
I can relate to that. I understand that.
Yeah, and so it took and took some time. I think one of the best things was my dad's ex-girlfriend, because I came out to her rather quickly, might I add. And then she actually was quite a big of help in that department.
That's nice. And do you feel comfortable now?
Yes. Yes. Like, I absolutely don't have any problem with my sexuality. I still do have other problems which also come from my childhood, which might or might not be connected to that. But at the moment, especially here in Berlin, I feel very comfortable to be an out gay man in a committed relationship. And I have no problem saying that at work or anywhere else.
Why did you move to Berlin? Because you studied in Switzerland,
yes.
Zurich, right?
Well, the thing is, a couple of reasons. First of all, I didn't find a position in Switzerland. And the one in Berlin kind of happened because I have a friend who also worked here, and he knew someone who was looking for someone, and so introduced each other, and they liked the projects and everything. So that was one of the reasons. Another reason was I was actually looking to leave Switzerland, because if you want to stay in the field that I am, it's actually good that you move. You don't do everything at the same university.
Just to clarify to members listening, you are a scientist.
Yes.
If we want to keep it a bit general. Okay, so then you came here. When did you come here? How old were you?
How old was I? It was October 17. So I was 25.
Okay. So you're 25 when you came to Berlin. So then your door went open. You were looking through every dark room in Berlin. Or am I exaggerating? Or did you go on a bit of a rampage?
I definitely had some experience here in Berlin that I didn't have in Zurich.
Right.
Well, one reason being that some things do not exist in Zurich.
Mm-hmm. But is that something that you were like interested in, like going on Grindr, and like I'm completely generalizing gay men.
So the thing is, there was definitely a period, and it was exactly during the time when that happened a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It, however, is not connected to the move to Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say one other reason for the move to Berlin is kind of connected to. So the thing is, I had a breakdown in summer of 2017
in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm. In Switzerland still, yes. So I was actually in a clinic for 1.5 months, 2 months, July, August.
And this was related to a relationship?
Yes.
Or...
Like a couple of things, but the last straw was a failed relationship in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think, well, that definitely just put me over the edge.
Right.
And so definitely, like, but the thing is, the point is that even when I got out of the clinic, I didn't want to kind of shut myself in at home, not doing anything, but I also wanted to keep everyone at least an arm's length distance. That's why Grindr is in that way kind of useful, because then you always have like 2 or 3 people at the same time you're at least chatting with, so you don't get attached to one person alone too much.
Right, but would you chat with them just for the sake of chatting?
Both.
Or would you hook up with them?
Both. Like, I would do whatever I wanted.
Right.
With them. I would. Some people I just chatted. I chatted. Like, actually, one person I've never met. He lives in Sweden. We've been chatting since then, and it's not even like sexual sexting or anything. It's just normal.
Just a chat friend.
Yeah. And there are 2 friends that I have now. 3 actually. 3 very close friends.
Through Grindr, without
through
hooking
Grindr.
up? Or after hookup?
Well, 2 of them are in a committed open relationship, and now it's basically I'm friends with the whole couple.
But you met on Grindr?
Yes.
Wait, you met the couple on Grindr?
Yes.
You were the third.
No,
were
actually,
you the third?
With one I was a third. With one I actually hooked up only with one of them.
Okay.
But the thing is, it was more like, yeah, that happened once, but after then we realized, hey, we're getting along actually really well. And we started doing like things, like normal things, like stuff that friends would do. We started going out drinking. We started going out normally and like without anything talking about stuff. Well, with one couple, it usually involves a lot of drinking or going to the gym together. They were by accident in the same gym, in the same class. It was actually quite funny because I've chatted with them for some time, and then I went to gym class, and then they were there, and then we started talking there, and they're like, "Hey, are you these guys?" And they were like, "Yes." So yeah,
it's a small world after all.
Yes, absolutely.
So I usually ask if people had a one-night stand, but I can confirm from your Grindr history, I would say
sure.
yes. But do you feel more emotionally attached regardless of a hookup, or are you very easy that you have a hookup and then you can just let go and move on and not really think about it anymore?
I mean, I've definitely had those kind of hookups.
But in hindsight, whenever you had a hookup, did you then sometimes still think about that person, or was that completely like, that was it, I'm done, moving on?
I would rather say like still think about that person. Like it's
like would there sometimes be curiosity, like, oh, I would have liked to have known him better, but he was not interested really in that, or
maybe, yeah, that definitely occurred sometimes. Clearly not always, especially like if in the end neither I found the person very interesting or the sex or well, no, the sex wasn't actually that much of a part. If I didn't find the person that much interesting, it was easy to just move on.
Then here's a very interesting question, obviously why I'm doing this. Are you still able to have sex with someone even though you don't find them that interesting? Or is that a turn-off for you?
Well, it depends. If I just don't know the person, there's still some kind of interesting in there. So because I don't know them yet. So that's why hookup works. If I don't find a person interesting, then no. Like if I've had like a date or 2 with them and I just find them, I don't find them interesting or appealing in any way, I'm really like, that's a really big turn off. Like, and definitely.
Wait a minute, you're saying that if somebody doesn't look nice, that's more of a turn off than somebody's personality? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, no. The thing is, if the personality is shit, then I won't have sex with that person.
Right.
If like, the thing is, yes, if I don't like someone particularly, but he's still like extremely good looking, then I might like say, okay, we do it once and then it's over. That might happen. Hasn't in a long time though.
So that means you can kind of separate the emotional feeling you have for someone with the way they look.
Yes.
Okay, so then the way they look can still weigh more than how you feel about them.
Well, I have to agree on that, although I don't particularly like that.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant. You are who you are, and if you're a very sexual person that can remove emotions from the sexual act, well, and maybe that's not the majority of the time your personality, but still is a part of you. You know, it's all on a scale. Like the majority of the times you are connecting those two things. And then sometimes you're like, I'm horny, he's hot, he's got a six-pack, whatever.
Yes.
And he's handsome. He has a handsome face.
Yeah, that could absolutely.
But a little bridge to this about that. Yeah. How important is love or romance to you when you're having a sexual partner?
When having sex or with a partner?
Let me put it this way. Do you enjoy sex more when there's feelings involved?
Yes, but it's very, very different, in my opinion.
In what way?
So I always have experienced sex different whether I'm in a like loving committed relationship and whether it's more of the hookup type thing. One thing that I like about the hookup thing is the excitement that you have. So it's kind of like either the first time or the second time, or just something that you find that person attractive in like either physically or their personality and so on, and you're like in that sense having fun and it's kind of like there's a certain kind of tickle there. Whereas with relationship, I always feel it's much close. There's much more contact. It feels so much closer. It's just way more intense, but without the tickle. I sense like without this excitement of this something new.
Right.
And
right, you mean that with when it's a hookup, there's this excitement of it's new.
Yes.
And then when you've been with someone for a while that you have feelings for, it's just intense, but that excitement
is not there.
Right.
And so it sometimes is for me that I sometimes miss that excitement.
Right.
So the sex itself is
the excitement thing. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
So,
but do you think that excitement thing is something that, because that's a good point. I think some people are addicted to that excitement thing, and so they're constantly trying to hook up with new people to get that excitement.
Sure.
Doesn't sound like you are, but when you're saying like I sometimes miss that, like to what extent, like how deep does that go? Like, would you ever break up with a partner over that or cheat?
No and no. Cheat is something. No, that I wouldn't do, first of all, because I've got my first-hand experience on that, how that feels, what that does to you, was one of the reasons that led to my breakdown. Well, it wasn't actually like the cheating, was also the handling of the cheating, because then but still, like, it's something, if I agree with my partner on being in a close committed relationship, then that's it, full stop. Whether I would break up with it, no, I don't think so. The reason is because I think I actually broke up with my first boyfriend partly, or at least to some extent, because of that. But that was more because I couldn't.
Because of what? Sorry. Because of
the lack of excitement.
Right.
In that sense. Because, I mean, there were also a couple of other things, but also that things I think I didn't understand back then. I couldn't like put my finger on, oh, it's the excitement that I'm missing. Whereas now, I know if I think, that's why. I feel like I know when I'm just missing the excitement, and I think you can create this sort of excitement about other things, also with your current partner, and it does not necessarily have to be sexual.
Right. No, it doesn't. No, I think you're correct.
And so, if I'm craving excitement, I can do that.
It can be very many things, and not necessarily sex.
Yes.
I definitely agree with that. So about your current partner, what does he identify as?
Also
a Gale.
Yes.
Gale. How long have you been together?
We've been together since last year, October. So I don't even know how many months that are. We've met in May. No, sorry, last year, August. August.
So that's about 6-7 months.
Yeah.
And how's it going?
I think it's going really well. It's new for me.
To be in a healthy relationship, you mean?
Yes. And
that's nice.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
Yes, exactly. And there are like so many other things where I can find my excitement. So that's why I'd say yes. And the thing with him is I absolutely adore him, and he's like with him, it doesn't even have to be necessary sex. What I enjoy most, like so much with him, is just being there with him. Even just like cuddling on the couch, or just watching something, or discussing something with him. And that definitely gives me so much more than any excitement I could get from a hookup.
From just sex?
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's that good. Is like I've been trying to think back of before I met him, when I was still in, let's say, the phase with little elevated grinder usage. It was stressful if I think back now. I spent so much time on my phone trying to find hookups, and I mean, a part of it from always being, oh, will that person write back or not, oh my
god, I cannot even imagine.
And well, that, and then kind of like sometimes the responses were just mean, degrading, or just this kind of the way people do some sort of discussions there, and I hate it when people don't respond to jokes, and they just and people on Grindr, especially if they're horny, they
just want to talk about one thing.
They don't do jokes, and if I think about it, there's
but
so
humor
much...
is so important when you're having sex. But that's
exactly, and so I'm like. Yeah.
Do you think that the whole Grindr thing and gay men in general, just from your Gale perspective, because that's kind of what the impression I have, and I've had very many gay men in my life, thankfully. Shout out to my gay boys. Hey. But sometimes, and not all of them, but I would hear the stories, and I had one friend who was seriously, I think, a bit addicted to it, where he would sometimes have 3 hookups in one night, and he would just kick somebody out of his bed like, oh, I'm not really enjoying this, you can go. And then half an hour later, he would smoke a cigarette. Half an hour later, he would be on Grindr finding somebody else, and it would be 4 a.m., and somebody else would come around. And then the next morning, he would feel awkward because he had to kick that person out. You know, it's kind of like it just, to me, it sounded, there's nothing sexy about it. And do you think that in the gay male community, the sexiness of hooking up and enjoying sex and be passionate about sex has kind of like been kind of whittled away because everyone's on Grindr and it's all like quick, and now. And it's that it took kind of the passion and the sexiness out of it. Do you think that as a gay?
Not as a general rule. I mean, obviously there are those people that do that. One thing that stresses me so much about having many hookups is the fact that you need to get checked regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And like even in the times where I didn't have a lot of sex, I still did those checks regularly. I wouldn't agree that 100% of this Grindr business is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, my opinion is that Tinder for gay people is that what it was supposed to do for straight people. Basically, the gays who are looking for relationships go on Tinder. Those that look for sex, cheap, quick sex, go on Grindr. So,
you're saying there's still kind of like a choice of what you're looking for. But I mean, I think there are people.
I think so.
I think there are guys that are on Grindr that are open to finding a partner.
Absolutely. No, that I didn't mean that. It's absolutely. It still happens.
But I think it happens
and
more by accident than purpose.
Yes. So the thing is, usually if people are on Grindr, they are on Grindr for a reason.
Yeah, and if they want love, they go on.
They go on other sides. Yeah, I think. Like at least there is partially a distinction between those two.
Right.
I would definitely agree that. I don't know. I wouldn't even say that the sexiness goes up because I think 3 people in a night is a lot.
Mm.
Is incredibly a lot. Just the logistics, and does he shower in between? Because I really hope he does.
I did not ask that. That's a good point.
The thing is, in that sense, sometimes something just very physical can be very much enjoyable. And it also passes the time so wonderfully. In the sense that...
It sounds tiring to me.
Well, yeah, you could say that, but if you have someone who is especially insecure and being alone with your own thoughts can be quite scary.
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah.
And so basically the amount of time it takes to organize.
But also kind of I think it's an emptiness that they're trying to fill, and I don't think it lasts, but it gives them a short...
I would not even necessarily go that far that they're trying to fill it with it, even though it might seem it more like to do something so you don't notice it. That was, at least for me, I have the feeling that was definitely a big part of the fucking around. In the sense that...
filling time?
Yes. And basically, you do something that takes up so much of your time that you don't have that much time to think about anything else. You don't have that much time to think about, does he like me? Do I like him? Stress.
Right. Like when you go on a first date. Like that first date.
I hate that.
Talking about, are you into anything kinky? Like, is there any kink?
Yes, sometimes. A little bit, but... It's very person specific. I'm only into kinky if it's at a one-night stand.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. But the thing is, kinky not. I don't need leather and whatever. Just a little bit
kinky
of
is very broad,
handcuffs,
obviously.
like a little bit, like nothing too brutal, a little bit of spanking, handcuffs. I don't know, a little bit. Especially if then the guy is a little bit bigger, a little bit more muscular, a little bit more macho.
Mm-hmm.
Then I like him to be a little bit more forceful. But as I said, only in
one-night stands.
One-night stands. I hate that in relationships.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I've been wondering this myself for quite some time. It's just like it takes a little bit away of the intenseness of the normal sex. Also, it doesn't feel right then, and it feels fake, and it feels like because the thing is, I would never normally want to be treated like that in a relationship.
Oh, I see. So you're basically fulfilling a fantasy in
Yeah.
real life, and because it's a one-night stand,
Yes.
it's then done.
Yeah.
Like cut off.
Exactly, and then I don't have
fulfilled my fantasy, and that's it.
Yes.
And you don't want to do that with your regular partner.
I would not want, like, at least the kind of kink that I like, the bondage, someone telling me what to do. I don't want to have that in my relationship.
Does he know?
My partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he doesn't push, he doesn't go, I would like to do that with you.
What he would like? No, he's never said that. He said we could, but I'm like, I'd rather try other things with him.
Okay.
I don't know. I just
on one side, it makes total sense.
I don't want my boyfriend to treat me like that.
I find it very interesting. We can do a whole other podcast about this. No, but
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't.
The line between your loving relationship and your fantasies.
Yes.
But then other question, like, when you have sex with him, do you fantasize about it?
Yes.
So then you're just doing it in your head. And when you masturbate, I would assume.
So when I have sex with him, I don't think that so much is happening in my head.
Okay.
That's what I meant with the intenseness. It's also we look like sometimes there are times when you look each other a lot in the eyes, and that's what gives it this immense intenseness. Mm-hmm. When I masturbate, it's sometimes so and so. Sometimes I think about him. Sometimes it's again the fantasy. Mm-hmm. And then it might be that I think of an experienced, fulfilled fantasy or something, or that I look for some porn that does that, what I find interesting at that moment.
You don't have to tell me this, but it's one of my standard questions. Have you ever had a bad sexual experience? And what I mean with that is that you were forced to do something against your will that you didn't really want to do.
I'm actually thinking about it. I was never forced to do anything. I think there were 2 occasions where I brought myself in a situation where I wasn't comfortable and where I wanted to get out without being too direct to the other person. Mm-hmm. Because then if you start going at it and if you're starting and then you say, okay, no, I don't want this. I'm leaving now. So in that sense, I wasn't forced anything, and it's definitely
it's just uncomfortable situation.
It's just like incredibly uncomfortable situation that I feel like I got myself into. I don't even blame those guys because I went there.
Right.
I chatted with them.
So basically, the answer is no.
Sorry, I didn't know how the
context.
Yeah.
No, but it's so good
Sorry, I thought because if something bad has happened, or what was the exact phrasing of the
phrasing? It's more about like getting sexually harassed or raped, or like something being done against your will, but by somebody else, obviously not yourself.
No,
but it's good to hear about that actually you didn't really inflict it on yourself because you left. You didn't go through with it.
Sure, but the thing is, me being a very, how should I say, mentally sensitive person. At least I feel like if something stresses me mentally, that can do things to me. Like, depending on how bad it is, it can bring me up to a point where I'm like in a massive panic attack, and only medication will bring me down. And since I know that I have that, and I'm just trying. I need to be careful about how my emotional response is to certain things. And if the pressure then that just gets too much, it just
right.
So yeah, sometimes these things, even though from outside, I don't know, I felt pretty bad in the end still. Yeah. I mean, if something was done no, I would honestly say no, apart like from the randomly being grabbed at inappropriate places when I didn't want to, in clubs. By
been there, done that.
Yeah. Like from sometimes really older guys.
Ugh.
Like 50 plus.
Ugh, and then you're so young.
Some women actually in the UK.
Really?
Yes. So that but the thing is, that didn't bother me. There was one time where a girl actually followed me around that long, and then at some point she literally stuck her tongue into my mouth.
Ew.
I turned to her and was like, "Yeah, now I know I'm gay."
Well, there was that plus side of that event.
So, no. Like, it was after I was out there, but I just wanted to see her face because she was being annoying so much.
And then she stuck her tongue in your mouth?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, well, she wanted to hook up with me, clearly.
Right.
All evening. So, yeah,
that is kind of sexual harassment, though. Because you didn't really consent. Did you say, bring it on, or...
No, at all. I always, whenever she came somewhere, I left.
So, that would be your one experience?
Yeah, that and the old guys in some clubs when they come up and then pinch your ass. No. But still, like... yes, it was... I fortunately still didn't have the feeling I was out of control.
But that's interesting, though, because I think we normalize, that pinching butts and grabbing and people doing that because they're drunk or something, or think that's a normal way of wooing. And, in that way, it's okay. But let's have this scenario. Let's say you're a woman and you're in a club, and then this old guy comes up and grabs you by the pussy. Like, that would be very bad. But when it happens to you, it's kind of like, oh well. Like, I think in the gay scene it's a bit normalized more than with women. Sure. Is what I'm trying to say.
I've never thought about it like that. Maybe. I can definitely see your point. The thing is, in both scenarios, the thing is, I, for some reason, didn't feel that threatened. Maybe it was because I had friends around or something. And if I don't know if I'd say now, okay, there are a lot of people, especially women, who've experienced much, much worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then still.
And it's always funny. I find it always funny. And that is just me. I'm not saying about any, not talking about anyone. If that someone had done, I would find incredibly attractive, I wouldn't have been offended.
All right. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I think I don't think it has ever happened or something.
So for you a little bit more like a type of flirting and you were not interested. So you were like,
maybe.
And then if it had been a hot guy, then you probably
at least the pinching in the ass, because that was compared to the sticking the tongue down my mouth, was very short, and he was walking by and then pinching my ass.
Yeah.
Like, not that it's bad or something. It's just he didn't walk up to me and stick his tongue down my throat.
Just people out there, like, whatever happened to just saying, hey or hi, you look good tonight. Like, you don't have to pinch somebody's ass to get their attention. Just saying.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't do that ever.
I just don't get it. Let's end on a fun note. What was the best sex experience you've ever had? Like the most mind-blowing sex.
The most mind-blowing sex. Again, I'd have to say one time it was with the excitement and one time was not with like the intenseness of a romantic partnership.
Mm-hmm.
If I go for the excitement, then it was a guy in Zurich. Oh, he just couldn't kiss, but the rest was amazing. He was one of the worst kisses, but the sex in the end turned out to be like really the perfect combo between between being like forceful but still like not brutal or anything. It's kind of like the perfect kind of macho, but not macho. I don't know.
Yeah. Like being a bit dominant.
Yes. Whereas, so that in terms of excitement was definitely like in terms like he had, for example, he had already installed 2 handcuffs on his bed on the sides, and so
you walked in and you went squeeze.
No, he didn't do it. He put like during the sex, at some point he puts me on the back, stretches out my arms, and puts my handcuffs on there.
And you were like, okay.
No, it was that because it was the right amount of macho.
Weren't you scared? Like, did you know this guy?
Yeah.
You already knew him.
Yes.
This was not a stranger you hooked up with and cried with.
Yes, but I didn't know that he was gay or into that.
What do you mean?
So he was a friend of a friend.
Okay.
So I had seen him a couple of times. I've never talked to him longer than 5 minutes. So
you knew him a little bit.
Yes.
He could still be a serial killer.
True. But I cooked him dinner first.
Well, that obviously changes everything.
I don't know. It's just like, I like that.
Now he will not kill you because you cooked a great dinner.
Yes. And he was already
What if
full.
the dinner hadn't been good?
Oh, gosh.
Then he would have been like, that was useless.
No, I don't know. And the other thing, the
non-excitement version?
I would say my current partner. Because he's got this, and he has this thing where he looks you in the eyes very intensely. And it gives you goosebumps. And it's in a way scary, but in a way very, very good. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm happy for you. And I also hate you a little bit.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For being so open and talking about your sex life. Thank you.